Good day, everybody, and welcome to another Live with me, Live with Kevin. I'm excited to share a few minutes with you talking about a really important topic, productivity. And today I want to share with you 6 things that you need to know now if you want to be more productive. And I really don't know anyone who doesn't want to be more productive. At some level, we have a limited amount of time in our life, a limited amount of time in our day. We all have the same amount of time, but most of us would like to squeeze more life, squeeze more results, get more effectiveness and enjoyment from our days, weeks, months, and years. And that's what we're here to talk about today. How do we become even more productive than wherever we are? And I can tell you that I'm on this journey with you, and I'm excited to share some of it with you. So I've got a lot of things I want to share with you, but this is a chance for us to interact. So if you're with me live, if you have questions, ask them. If you have a comment, share it. And first of all, I'd love you just to say hello. Tell me where you're from. I can put those, I can see your comments, whatever social platform you're on. So just use the comment section, say hello, tell me where you're located. Love to know that. And I'll answer any questions that you have as we go. I do have a planned set of things to share with you, specifically 6 things you need to know. And so I'm going to walk through all of that, but I don't want you to feel like you have to wait to ask your questions. If we were sitting across the desk and you had a question, you'd ask it. So ask it as we go. And again, tell me where you're from, where you're located today. I'd love to know that as well. So 6 things you need to know now if you want to be more productive forever. So let's dive in. And really what I want to do with you is I'm going to share with you 6 things in terms of a 3, 2, 1. 3 mistakes that we make, or that I often see people making. 2 insights that I've gained about productivity, and 1 solution that we need to put into place. One thing that if we do this one thing, we'll get more productive immediately and forever. So I'm going to walk through those 3 things, starting with the 3 mistakes and the 2 insights, and then lastly, the 1 solution. So that's where we're headed. Comments are starting to come in. So we've got people from around the world. We've got people from Croatia. Lisa is with us from Wisconsin. And so now the water is warm. You all see that. You can add your comments as well. So 3, 2, 1. Mistake number 1. Mistake number 1 is misunderstanding productivity. And so what I mean by that is that we make a big mistake when we think about productivity. And the first thing that we do is we think about productivity as an activity. Like, I got a lot going on. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I got a long to-do list. I must be productive. No, productivity is not a measure of activity. It's a measure of accomplishment. It's a measure of accomplishment. So that's the first thing I hope you'll write down. Let's see, we've got Pennsylvania and we've got Italy. And so we're glad that you're all here. So it is a measure of activity. Excuse me, not a measure of activity, it's a measure of accomplishment. So here, it's a measure of results over time. It's not number of tasks we accomplished. It's about the results that we get over time. And so the biggest issue in relationship to this mistake is people using the word busy. So I just want you to think for a second about when someone says to you, you're busy, or says to you that they're busy. What do you think? Well, first of all, you may give them a bit of a pass, right? And so we agree with them, we show our understanding, and we allow them to use it as an excuse. Someone says, man, I'm busy. And you say, man, me too. I know what that feels like. I'm busy. And, I'm hoping you can get to this or whatever, but we sort of use it ourselves as an explanation and an excuse, and others do the same. And so I often say that busy is the most dangerous 4-letter word in the English language. My grandmother wouldn't have loved me saying that. Probably she'd have picked some different words that she'd never say. But I've had other people say that, man, they're in the world today, we are addicted to being busy. And all I really want to say is that the big mistake here is to think that being busy means we're productive. It doesn't mean that at all. In fact, it could be the opposite of that, right? We need to banish busy. If we want to be more productive, the first thing is we have to have a clear picture of what productivity is, that it's about results per unit time, outcomes per unit time. And we need to banish busy from our vocabulary and from our conversation. So we've got Michigan here as well, I see now, and I'm glad to see that. The second mistake. So the first mistake is misunderstanding productivity. The second mistake is multitasking. Like I've asked hundreds of people this in both face-to-face and virtual sessions to tell me how good they are at multitasking. And I get three basic answers. People say, man, I'm really good, or I wish I were better, or some people say, I can't do it at all. And it's really the third people that are right, because multitasking, my friends, is a myth. It's not something we can actually do. You see, our brains are not parallel processors. Our brains can only do one thing at a time. Amazing as our brains are, we can only do one thing at a time. So what we're not doing is multitasking. What we are doing is switch tasking. And every time we switch, well, I'll just give you an example. Have you ever driven your car with the radio on and suddenly you come upon traffic, you come upon an accident, it starts to rain or snow, or there's a detour? What do? You turn down the radio. If you're talking to someone on the phone, you say, hey, I need to go. There's an accident in front of me. And you do that. Why? Because your brain says, listen, I can't be doing these two things at once. I can't be switching back and forth, really, between listening and driving and driving and listening and listening and driving and driving and listening. Instead, what we're doing is saying, I've got to focus, so I can't be switch tasking. I need to be on one thing. And so we turn down the radio, turn off the podcast, or whatever that might be. Maybe you're listening to me right now and also do an email. You're only really doing one and then the other and then one and then the other. And if you start to get engaged with what I'm saying, you get lost in where you are in the email and vice versa. So we don't multitask, we switch task. And the thing to remember here is that there are switching costs. Have you ever had someone come into your office or interrupt you when you were working on something, a report, an email, or whatever, and you move to whatever they're saying, and then when you go back, it takes you a while to get back to where you were, to get your thoughts back into that writing or whatever it was. That's an example of the switching costs. And the research says a couple of things about this, that we can't do both equally well. We can't do both at 100%. That would be truly multitasking. What we're really doing is about the very best we can do, depending on what the two tasks are, is about 70% of our capabilities for each. So I'm switching back and forth, and I'm only getting about 70% effectiveness at best. That's at best, depending on the topics. It also, research says that women are a little better at this than men. But I would just say to you this, if 70% is good enough, that's fine. But every time you switch, you have a cost. And it's not just a cost of your actual productivity or results per unit time. It's also sapping our energy, which is costing us into our ability to be productive later as well. So I want to go back to your comments here in a second. Here's the point I want to make. Multitasking is a mistake of productivity. Number one, because it's a myth. And number two, it's actually anti-productive. We think it's helping us. We wear it like we do busy as a badge of honor of some sort. And yet it's actually hurting us in almost every way. And so people are saying we can reduce the cost of switching. We can, and yet we can't eliminate it, right? So we can, mental flexibility, we can switch better. We can work on switching better. I would say, well, perhaps we shouldn't be doing that at all, right? So Art's saying he wants some tools on accessing virtual meetings, switching between Excel, Word, etc., and other tools. And so that's not really our focus here. But what I will say is that technology can help us, and we want to use it effectively to help us. And yet, one of the problems with technology is that it pushes us to multitask when we'd be far better off almost always to say, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. Let me give you another example. So if I'm like right now, I'm engaged in this 100%. I'm not checking my email. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not doing something else. And we would all say, well, of course you're not doing that, Kevin. You're presenting. That's true, right? That's true. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to be driving for several hours. I'm going to be presenting to a group. And then all day Friday, I'm going to be presenting to a group. So I won't be checking my email throughout the day. I won't be multitasking on the email. But when I do email in a limited time that's dedicated to the email, I will be far more productive with my email in that short window than I would have been in the time I would have spent on the same emails, flitting and flooding back and forth, multitasking all day long. So it's really important for us to really recognize that multitasking is anti-productive. It's not helping us. It's actually hurting us, right? All right. It's actually hurting us. So that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 1, misunderstanding productivity and what it is and what it isn't. Mistake number 2 is multitasking. Mistake number 3 is relinquishing control. And you may say, well, Kevin, what do you mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is that when we accept other people's schedules, when we accept other people's approaches to how they do work, when it doesn't meet with our ability to be productive, when we say yes to things that we feel like we are compelled to, or we feel we need to do that from a relationship perspective, all of these are ways we relinquish control. Now, we live in a system with other people. We're on teams. I'm not saying that we should be difficult, and I'm not saying that we should be unwilling to bend. What I am saying is that we teach people how to treat us, and we teach people how to work with us. So, for example, and I'll just stay with email for a second. If someone sends you an email and you reply to it immediately, they're going to expect you to continue to reply to emails immediately. If you've ever gotten an email, a phone call from someone who said, did you get my email? It's because they are used to you replying immediately. Now, I know that in some of our roles, that may be the most important part of our job. That may be the main thing. That means the other thing besides replying to those emails or answering those phone calls might be the thing we're multitasking with. The point that I'm making is if we can get clearer about what we need to be working on at a given time and take control of that, using our calendar more effectively to do that, we'll be more effective. We'll be more productive. We'll be healthier. We'll have less burnout. And the mistake that I see people making is, well, that's all well and good, Kevin, but I can't do that because I have to live in the system that I'm in. And I'm not saying that we can ignore the system we're in. I am saying that we can set some expectations and some boundaries. I am saying that we can block time. I am saying that we can use our calendars differently. And all of those things are taking control or keeping control. The mistake is to relinquish all that and just sort of live in whatever world and operate and respond and react to however it is that those around us work. Which means that one of the things that we can do to maintain our control is to recognize our own chronotype, which is the time of day we're at our best. I call it our power time. So I know when my power time is. Everyone on my team knows when my power time is. My wife knows when my power time is. It's early in the morning. So I make sure that I'm spending time early in the morning or first thing in the morning working on the most important things for me, the things that require the most of my attention for me to be at my best. And during those times, except under extremely unusual situations, I'm not going to have phone calls during those times because I don't need to be at my very best, or I need to be focused on other things during those most important times. So my desire to be more productive leads me to make sure that I'm using the time when I need to be at my best, doing the things that require my best. And so whenever those times are for you, try to take some amount of control over those time periods to get your best work done, most important things accomplished. And the other thing about relinquishing control is ignoring our most productive habits. Look, we all sort of know the habits that work for us. And if we will stay with them and lean into them and not let go of them to meet someone else's needs, but stay with those habits that work best for us. Like if we know, for example, that we're better off if we do some planning for tomorrow at the end of our day, whether it's the end of our workday or before we go to bed, whatever that is, then we need to make sure we're doing that. Maintain that habit that we know works for us. Keep control of that. Make sure that we don't let go of that just because something changes. Now, there will always be exceptions. but we can't let the exception become the rule, because the more we do that, the less productive we will be. So we've talked about 3 mistakes. We've talked about the mistake of misunderstanding what productivity actually is. And when we overcome that mistake by recognizing that productivity is results per unit time and has nothing to do with activity, has nothing to do with busy. And mistake number 2 is thinking that multitasking helps us when it really doesn't, that we really can't do it. And in fact, multitasking is actually anti-productive activity. And lastly, the third mistake is to relinquish control. Relinquish control of our time in ways that don't serve us to get things accomplished that we need or want to get accomplished. 3 mistakes. So then I said I would give you 3 mistakes, 2 insights, and 1 solution. So let's go on to the insights. 2 insights that I have made about productivity over time on my own journey along this path is that it is a moment by moment choice. Productivity is a moment by moment choice. In every moment, we make a decision about what we're going to do, what we're going to focus on, what we're going to prioritize. And it's in every one of those moments that we can choose to be more productive. And so a colleague of mine named Jones Laughlin, who I'm going to do a live with next week, wrote something recently on LinkedIn where he talked about suckers on plants. So I have a picture of a sucker on a tree. You'll now know what I mean. Let me see if I can add that to the stage. It should show up there. So you see that right there. You see that little thing growing off the side of the tree? That's called a sucker. And you may have a tree in your yard with a bunch of those down low or coming out of the ground, just below the ground. Or you may think of a tomato plant where you got all these branches coming off from the main plant. The further those are, every one of those is requiring energy from the plant. Every one of those is requiring focus of the plant. And when you can remove the thing that you don't really want, you remove that energy suck, then the tree can be more successful in doing what you really want it to do. The same is true for us in our lives. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? That if we can be clear about what we most want to be doing at any given time, we will maintain our energy better. We'll maintain our energy better. So a moment by moment choice that we make is how we become more productive or less productive based on those choices. So every moment is a decision. Every moment is a chance to get better. Every moment is a chance that we can do it differently. And energy plays a major role here. So we want to be really careful about that. Next, we want to make sure that we know what our tendencies are. And I'll give you an example. Like, I know that there are certain things, if I click on this phone device thingy here, that I will be diverted for a few minutes. I'm not proud of that, but I will be. And it could be something that what I might say is useful, like my email or whatever. But I know that once I pick this up and turn it on, I am now making a different choice that's likely not going to solve my long-term productivity needs. Here's another example. When I sit down on my couch and turn on the television, now, I'm not saying we should never turn on the television. What I'm saying is that when I do that, my tendency is I'm going to stay there longer than I might have wanted to. And so if I know my tendencies and I know what dominoes will fall when I make a certain choice, then I can maybe make a different choice. I can be more self-aware and I can make a different choice, because we get more accomplished in the time that we have when based on the choices that we make. And if I know that my tendency might not be serving me, then I can make a different choice. It's easier and more conscious and intentional for me to make a different choice. I have learned that productivity is a moment by moment choice, and we make decisions at every juncture as to how successful and productive we will be. The next and second insight is this. And maybe this is the most important thing I'm going to say to you today, is that productivity is a life skill. I know the examples I've used so far have been about work, right? Getting more accomplished at work, achieving our work goals, our career goals, our professional goals, doing those most important projects. And it's all true. But productivity, as we get better at being more productive, it's not just about our work. And it's not just about getting stuff done at work so we can go home and have some semblance of this thing that people call work-life balance. And I don't have time to go into that, other than to say there's no such real thing as this idea of work-life balance anyway. But we use this thinking that I can go be productive so I can get home and be with my family. I can get home and do what I want to do. But the reality is, when we are more productive, we are allowing time and energy for our most important things, whether they are work related, professionally related, whether they are personally related, whether they are spiritually related, whether they are physically related. It doesn't matter what they are. The thing is that if I become more productive and make different choices in my spiritual life, it will have an impact on the rest of my life. If I do a better job of making choices about my productivity and the most important things for me to do in my relationships, then that's going to spill out and help me in all the other parts of my life. The idea is, if productivity is results per unit time, then how do we want to use our time? That beautiful 1,440 minutes that we all have every day. How are we going to use it? How are we going to invest it? And if we think about productivity, not just as how do I get my work done, but how do I live my life, not to create senses of urgency necessarily, or to always be busy. We've already said busy's not the answer. Choices are the answer. And focus is the answer. So that's the second insight that I've come to. And I've been a student of my own productivity for a long, long time. And there are some people that say that they think of me as being one of the most productive people they know, which I'm always pleased when people say that, but a little bit confused as well, because I know how much better I could get. I know how much better I could make choices. And I know that, and I know I'm better at it than I used to be. And it's this insight that I think is perhaps the most powerful thing I will share with you today, that being more productive can help us at work, of course. But being more productive is a life skill. It can give us the time and energy to do the most important things. It can help us prioritize and say, yeah, I could do email now, but maybe that's not the best use of my time right now. Maybe the best use of my time right now is to read a book to my child before they go to sleep, or whatever that might be. Right? Productivity isn't just a type A type of behavior. It's about a way to think about our lives, which leads us to the solution. So to review so far, we've talked about 3 mistakes, 2 insights, of which this is the second, and now the solution. And the solution, from my perspective, is to make productivity the glasses that we wear. Now, that may seem weird to you. I mean, I have glasses on right now that allow me to see better because I'm looking through them. And what I'm really suggesting, and I can do this right now with you pretty well without them, but I can't read any comments that you might share over there very well. So if I wear the glasses, it helps me see better. It helps me to see differently. So what I'm suggesting is that when we put our productivity glasses on, if productivity is a moment by moment choice, when we put these glasses on and think about our life through the lens of productivity, we have a chance to be more productive. And what I've got is A, B, C, D, E. I've got them on a slide over here beside me, so I don't forget them. A, B, C, D, E, the first part of the alphabet about the productivity lenses that we put in our lives. The first one is to have an accomplishment focus, to stop thinking about activity. Man, I was busy. Look at all this stuff. But rather, what are the things I need to accomplish? What are the most important things I need to do today? What are the things I need to accomplish? Not what are the things I'm going to do? Outcome focus, accomplishment focus. That's part of the productivity lens. The second is the B, which is belief management. And what I mean by that is believing that we can be more productive. Because I talk to people that say, man, I procrastinate all the time. I procrastinate sometimes too. But we have to believe that we can overcome that. And when we remember that C, that it's about choice selection, that productivity is a moment by moment choice, then if we believe that we can make a different choice and we make ourselves conscious of that, then we can be more successful. So A, accomplishment focus; B, belief management; C, choice selection or a choice consciousness will move us in the right direction. And D is decision creation. deciding that I want to be more productive, making that decision on a daily basis as I build my plan, deciding that I believe I can be more productive. I'm going to look at my world through the lens of productivity, and I'm going to do that every day. Every day. So I believe this is the solution to helping us be more productive, is to think about our life in the frame of results per unit time. And again, results aren't just type A behaviors. Results are all of the results we want in our lives, whether that's to be more physically fit, whether that's to be more mentally fit, whether that's to have better relationships, or yes, whether that's to get more project work done. Whatever it is, it all fits together. So make productivity the glasses you wear or the lens that you look at your world through. And so it leads us to something that I'm really proud of that we've been working on that I want to share with you. And it's what's called the Productivity Intensive. And it's about to kick off the very first time we're doing this. And it's based on everything I've just shared with you. So I just want to tell you a little bit about what the Productivity Intensive is. You can learn more about it by going to this link. I'll put this link up here for you, kevinikenberry.com/productivity. But let me tell you about what the intensive is. So this intensive is about, so if you think about what I've just shared with you for the past 25 minutes, it's been about changing our mindset about productivity. It's about thinking about some skill set that we could apply. And I've hinted at the fact that it's all about the habits that we choose. So this productivity intensive leans into our belief about how we really make learning happen, which is mindset, skill set, habit set. It leans into those three components, all three. And it looks like this. It's a blended approach. This is not a webinar for you to take. This is a blended way for you to put on the productivity lenses for the next 45 days. And so here's what it looks like. It's a blended approach. When you first go here and sign up, you're going to get access to 4 videos right away. 4 videos that I did on this very camera, in this very setting, with slides walking you through mindset, skill set, and habit set around productivity. Some very specific, tangible things that you can do to be more productive, leaning into what we call the 4 productivity pivots, giving you a ton of insight and inspiration to help you be more productive, giving you both mindset and skill set. But we all know that just because we have a skill doesn't mean we'll go apply it. So we're also going to give you 45 days of powerful productivity prompts, which simply means this: each day it gives you a question to ask yourself or an action to take that helps you put on that productivity lens to think about your day in that way, giving you something very specific to do that day as you do your day, to be more productive in that day, to start to build your new habit of deeper and more effective productivity. So mindset, skill set, habit set. To further help you with the skills, we're including our Remarkable Productivity Masterclass, which is a series of 4 to 8 minute videos built by me in a masterclass format. You're familiar with that sort of e-learning format. And so you can binge that and watch it all, or you can watch one of those a day, or you can pick the ones that are most useful to you, however that works for you. But you get that access to that as well as those other 4 videos for life. So you can use them as a part of this 45 days. You can binge it all. You can do all of that. But here's the other thing we know about learning. Doing it by ourselves is helpful, and doing it in our own time is useful, but we often learn best in community. And one of the ways that we're doing that is creating a community on LinkedIn. So when you join the Productivity Intensive by going to kevinikenberry.com/productivity, you will get access to a membership on our LinkedIn group, where others like you will be on this journey of being more productive, putting on this productivity lens, working on the moment by moment decisions, choices. And so you can join that group to share resources, to share ideas, to ask questions. I will be participating in that forum as well. So both as a fellow traveler with you, as well as a facilitator for you. So if you've got questions along those 45 days, you have access to that group. In fact, you'll stay in that group, have the access to that group beyond the 45 days. And the last thing that you get is a live Q&A call. So on November the 9th, I believe it is, I'll be doing a live call for all of the people who've joined in this intensive who are on this journey together, where we will gather on a Zoom call and talk about your questions, your concerns, your successes, your challenges. Consider it like group coaching. Consider it like, call it a Q&A call, call it a group coaching call. We've called it either one, but it's a chance for you to join with the people that you've gotten to meet in the LinkedIn group, but come together in live setting with me to ask your questions, to share your ideas, to overcome your challenges. So the Productivity Intensive is a 45-day jumpstart to your productivity for the rest of your life. Now, you could go back and use those 45 prompts over and over and over, or come back to them once a quarter or once a year. They're yours forever. The videos are yours forever. All of this is designed to help you change and improve your mindset around productivity, to give you a greater tool chest, so to improve the skill set to help you be more productive, the techniques, the tools, the approaches, and to ultimately help you build the habit set, to put on the productivity lens, to look at your life differently so that you get different and better results in all aspects of your life. Because, as we said, productivity is a life skill, not just a professional skill. So I'm excited about this Productivity Intensive. I hope that you will choose to go to that page and learn more about it. If you have questions about it, you can certainly ask us. There's a place to do that there. But most of all, I hope that you will seriously consider joining us and actually choose to join us. Because here's the thing. When you make that small investment, I'll make this guarantee for you that if after those 45 days, you don't feel you're more productive, we'll give you your money back. We're not going to take away your access to any of this stuff. But if you feel like, hey, this wasn't, I'm not more productive now than I was 45 days ago, Kevin, then we'll give you your money back. Because what I believe is that when you engage in this productivity intensive for 45 days, integrating these ideas into your work and life for 45 days, you'll be more productive for the rest of your life. So if you're willing to spend a little time and a little mind space and work a little bit, trying some new things for 45 days, I will guarantee that you'll be more productive for the rest of your life. Seems like a pretty good trade-off to me. So I have shared with you today 6 things that you need to do or know now so that you can be more productive for the rest of your life. And those 6 things were formulated as 3 mistakes, 2 insights, and 1 solution. And then a way to help you to implement that solution, which is the Productivity Intensive. I hope you found this useful and valuable. And I hope that you will click on that link or go to that link and you will join us in the Productivity Intensive. It gets started here just in a few weeks and a few days, but whenever you join us, you can start from right then. So no time like the present. If you've been led as you listen to this to think, man, I want to be more productive. I want to be more productive in all areas of my life. Then I encourage you to hit this link and join us. And I look forward to seeing you in just a few days as we get started on this journey together. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you soon.